Yeah, hello. Please, can you hear me? Hello.
Singing, David.
Yeah. So please, we let's wait till like 8:10, then we start the session.
Hello.
Yeah, please, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. I think there was issue with my headset. Let me try resolving that.
Yeah. So I was saying that we should wait till like 8:10, then we start the session.
All right, sure, no problem. It's fine to
All
me.
right. All right. Thank you.
Hey, Okay.
So please, since our people are not here right now, let's just add 5 more minutes. If they still don't come, they will just go ahead with it. Please, is that fine?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. And please, if you know anyone who has not joined, please speak to them and then text them or call them to come and join the sessions.
Okay, just by the way, for those who joined, we are kind of waiting for those who registered to join. So, 8:15, if they've not joined, we are going to start the session. All right.
All right, so please, since it's 8:15 and then the others are not here, please we'll start. And if they come, they would come and join as we are in the process. Please, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, please.
All right, okay. So my name is David, and then I'll be moderating today's session. So today's session is a pleasure to have all of you here with us, and then yeah. So our speaker is an AI and ML engineer, also a software engineer, with his work spanning artificial intelligence, data platforms, MLOps, machine learning research, and quantitative finance. He has particular interests that goes beyond simply understanding these technologies, but then experiencing and building autonomous agents, production grade data pipelines, and the machine learning systems that are designed to solve world problems. He currently works across data platforms engineer, MLOps, and then machine learning research, combining technical expertise with strong interest in making complex system practicals useful and accessible. So I'm very sure we'd all learn something very useful from him if you pay quiet attention to him and listen to him. So with I know we can't give an applause, but then with a warm welcome, let's invite Mr. Solomon Eshun to take over. Um, please, we can't hear you, Mr. Eshun. You are muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you, David, and everyone here, and also ITL Labs for this wonderful session. Um, I'll try my best to answer every question and also share my experience and how far I've come in this AI journey. So, thank you. We spent already 15 minutes already. I would share my screen briefly. I'm not going to teach anything, just sharing some screen to present something. Okay, so let me know once you see my screen. Can you see my screen? All right. So yeah. So our session is basically building and working in the age of AI. There's a lot of people say AI has taken our job. We are probably cooked and a whole bunch of things, right? But I just here to share with you that we are not totally cooked, and you can actually make yourself useful in this current age where things are moving very fast. You wake up today and there's this new AI agent, AI model has been released. And just yesterday, a new model has been released, an open source model. And its benchmark is saying is better than Anthropic and ChatGPT's most capable model. So things are moving very fast, and it's right now very difficult to catch up, right? So I'm going to start with my journey, where I started from and where I'm at currently and where I'm looking to go, right? So basically started programming in the university, learning how to build softwares with Java, built a number of softwares and all that. And then also from there, just want to give a high level as possible, right? A very high level um, explanation, right? So I started with software engineering, learning how to build softwares with Java. The tool I was using was called Java FX. And then from there, started learning something with data, basically data structures, how to manipulate data and a whole bunch of things, right? And went on to data engineering. Basically, the data engineering I was learning was not production level data engineering, some basic data engineering, data science things. That's basically what I was doing, right? And doing MLOps, machine learning, and a whole bunch of things, right? But MLOps, not MLOps specifically, but machine learning, AI is where I'm actually career started, if I should say. I did my NSS as an AI machine learning engineer, and that was where was doing much of agentic AI, building AI agents, deep research agents that computational biologists used to do research, right? So I learned so much in those days where building AI agents that biologists used to conduct research. And some of the agents I built was used to conduct for research, including one with Imperial College, which I found to be very interesting. And at the end, I was very proud of myself, if I should say, right? So the key thing I learned from there was agents, build how to build AI agents, make AI interact with the real world, because AI by themselves, like if you take ChatGPT as a standalone, it cannot do anything without you giving it tools to assess real world access. So if you go to ChatGPT now and you ask it a question without tools, that okay, what is happening right now at this point in time, it wouldn't be able to tell you because it has some cut-off knowledge probably early this year, right? But with the help of tools, it's able to give you information, the recent information, right? So that's from at Mino Health. That's why I started building agentic AIs, and from there, I started doing actual production, data engineering, and MLOps, right? That is where what I currently do at EMBW, which is a German company. So on a day-to-day, what I'm actually doing is injecting real data from live sensors across Europe and then storing them in some databases, right? And then also assisting data scientists deploy models, right? So they build their models, and then I help them deploy the models on infrastructure like AWS or Azure and other cloud platforms. So basically, that's where I've come from. I started from software engineering, uh, small data engineering, and started doing some agentic things. And currently, um, building data engineering, doing data engineering and machine learning operations, right? And another thing I do on the side is quantitative finance. Basically, usually want to call it financial machine learning, because what I usually do is kind of train models on finance data and those kind of things, and a bit of quantitative finance where you go further than that, right? I'm not an expert in it, but at least I'm learning, right? So basically, that's everything about my journey so far. And one area that I found very interesting, that personally I believe that once this AI bubble, I believe that in the next few years, AI is going to be like how social media started, and everybody now like that social media like Facebook and all that, right? I believe in the next couple of years, there is something is probably going to take place, right? That AI is going to become too normal, and everybody is like, okay, yeah. When you mention ChatGPT, you'll be like, okay, yeah, ChatGPT, right? After ChatGPT, I've been asking myself, what is next? Because eventually something else is going to come, right? And an area that I've personally looking into on the side, read about, is called physical AI, right? Basically, building AI that interact with the real world substances, like telling an AI or a robot to pick up a red cup from a table. Basically, that's physical AI. Now you might be wondering what physical AI is. Maybe you might be saying, okay, it's robots. Robots, yeah, basically they are kind of like robotics, but physical AI goes beyond robots, because we've been having robots for the past 10 years and even more. But the interesting part is, how can you make these robots learn in real time and then be able to adjust in real time? Like like a human being, when you touch something and it bends you, you learn, right? Now the thing is, how can we make AI be able to learn something in real time? You tell it that, okay, pick a cup, do this, and all that. So personally, that's what I believe, that after this whole agentic AI era, whatever might be the next thing may probably be physical AI, which includes robotics, intelligent robots, and other stuff, right? Autonomous cars and all that. I'm going to share some links and some videos just so that we see what I'm talking about. So, so basically, that's everything about me and my journey so far and where I look to head to, the things I'm learning on the side and all that. So, at this point, if you have any other questions about what I do, you can feel free to ask about that. So in this session, what we are doing is, I'm not going to be teaching anything, but answer every question you have in relation to this field, right? Generative AI, LLMs, programming in the age of AI, software engineering, data engineering, MLOps, AI agents, careers, responsible AI, and physical AI, right? I may not be able to answer into detail, but I'll try my best to answer whatever question you have within these areas. Or if you are even new to this whole tech industry and you have questions to ask, you can ask me on that as well. So before I take any other questions, I was sent these questions and I would like us to look into these ones. And then after, if you have any question, I think you can share your questions in the chats. And yeah, we'll pick your questions from there. So before I start with this ones, any other questions or um anyone have any questions or anything they want to ask before we start with these questions? Okay, so you can unmute and talk, by the way. ESK, you can unmute and talk, by the way. All right, so let's continue. So the very first question is, okay, so if there's anything, just feel free to interact with me. Like, it's basically an interacting session. It's not like I'm here to speak, and then go, right? So if you have any question or anything you would want to point out or anything, just feel free to interrupt and ask. Okay, so the very first question is, how can I use AI to make money in this age? Okay, so actually, I would say there are a whole number of ways you can use AI to make money, but the thing is, you don't just get up and say that, hey, I'm using AI, building whatever, right? Of course, if you want to make money, you would have to use AI to build something to solve a specific problem, right? So it is actually possible to use AI to make money in this day, but then you would have to sit down and do your research and understand the problem you are actually trying to solve and know the people that are actually facing the problem you're trying to solve, and then you sell it to them, right? You can't build a software, or these days you can't solve any problem with AI in probably a week, right? The other thing is that, are people actually facing the problem you're trying to solve, and are people actually going to use it, right? The other thing is marketing, right? You can build softwares. I've personally been there, like currently there. I have probably about 3 softwares I've built that I've not said, like, I've not brought it out because marketing is not easy, right? It's easy to build, but it's not easy to market your product. And marketing is what brings you the money, right? The more people get to know, the more they use it, and that's how you get to make your money from it. So again, it's easy to build and make money with AI, but you actually have to know what you are doing and the specific problem you are solving. And yeah, so one example of the people, I would say Keza. There's this company called Keza. What they are doing is they are basically using AI, right? AI to assist programmers code, right? That's what they build, vibe coding tools, right? And as of the last time, they were evaluated close to 1 billion, right? Recently, Elon Musk bought the company. So you can imagine, if Elon Musk is buying your company, that means you are cracked, right? And then you can look at OpenAI, which is currently making money with AI. Apart from they serving you the AI, they are using AI in other use cases, like I know of like biology, physics, PhD. They have other softwares that people are using. Like one of their software I use currently is called Codex. It helps me write programs and ship products faster and features and those kind of things faster, right? So the problem they are solving is helping programmers write code faster and deliver faster. That's what they are helping us do, right? And they are making tons of money. And there's this other company called Mucor. What they do is they basically use it's AI interview software. So what they do is they use AI to interview you, and then they connect, help you find a remote job. That's basically what they do. And they are also evaluated close to $1 billion company. So you would have to do your research and know the specific problem you are trying to solve, the people that you are going to actually use your software or the problem you are solving, and then also be able to market them well, right? So yeah, and the next question is, by the way, if before I go to the next question or any question, feel free to interrupt and ask anything. Okay. And also there is a question, how can I build software ready for marketing, for markets using AI? So So in this, what I usually do is this, right? Let me use myself as an example, right? Anytime I'm building something or I want to build a software, anything, I first use AI themselves to kind of ask questions about what I'm trying to solve. Are people actually going to use it? You tell me the actual truth, like, okay, is this app going to be really necessary, right? And then after we are done with all those kind of jazz, okay, now we decide I want to build a software. What I do is that we start to build the MVP, what we call the minimum viable product. And that is like, what problem are you trying to solve, right? And then what I do is I organize them in sprints. A sprint is basically features after features. So once the AI implements this feature, okay, I test it out on the software. I know that this is working. It implements this feature. I test it out. I know that it's working. Once you are done with like every features inside of your MVP, which is the problem, the minimal problem your software is trying to solve, I think they are good to start marketing. Once you are convinced with like what you have, you've tested it, you are confident with it, you've done your research and know that okay, these are the people that are actually going to use it, you can then go on to start marketing your AI software that you've built, right? I don't want to say AI software, your software that you built with AI, right? Again, I want to point out that marketing is the difficult part because it's not easy doing marketing, right? Getting people to see your application and use your application, that's how you get to make money with AI software. So what you can do is basically what I've said so far. You first have to sit down and think about it. You put down what is the minimum viable product, what is the least thing that you can solve with the software. You build it, you send it out to test the market, right? You test the market to see that are people actually using it before you go on to build advanced features that probably nobody is going to use. So you build the simplest of solution, right, that you want to build. You sell it out to people. Once you see that people are using it a lot, that is when you go on to add other features or any other things, right? Yeah. And the third question is, what exactly is AI? This is a good question. So most people I've heard are like, oh, AI is ChatGPT, AI is ChatGPT. But let me give a high level explanation. So AI is basically giving it a, a software, right, that learns pattern in data. Basically, that's it, right? So where I work currently, we build AI, right? And what the AI does is that it has been trained on a whole bunch of sensor data. And what it does is in real time, what we do is that we give it a sensor data and we ask it to, based on what you've learned on the data we've given to you, what is going to be this value on like the new data we've given. I don't know if this makes sense, right? So AI is basically a software, let me just say a software that learns pattern in some data, like a data given it to it. So an example could be that, an example could be, let's say you want to predict what is going to be the price of Ghana cedis tomorrow. What we do is we give the AI data of what the price of Ghana cedis has been from, let's say, 2010 to last year, and then we can ask it to predict the price for each and every individual days for this year, right? So we train the AI from 2010 to, let's say, 2026 August, right? And then after we've trained it on that data, the AI learns some patterns. We assume that it has learned some patterns. And now you give it the price of today and you tell it that what will be the price of tomorrow based on what you've learned from 2010 to, yeah, this year, 2026, right? Basically, that's what an AI is, a software that has learned pattern from data. And then when given new data, it's able to predict the outcome based on what it has learned, right? It's kind of like going to write an exam. You learn whatever you want to learn. When they ask you question, you output your answer, right? Yeah, so that's AI. The third question is, can you provide some tutorials in using AI tools? So with this, there are a bunch of AI tools out there, and it depends on what you're actually working on. So it's a bit tricky to kind of like show you one specific tool. Maybe you might not necessarily use this tool, right? But depending on your use case and what you want to do, you can you would have to actually go to the you search on Google, you find AIs for whatever you want to do. You probably find a whole bunch of YouTube videos that talk about something that you want to do and AI softwares, and you can watch them from there. But I'm sure for whatever you want to do, ChatGPT or Claude or any other AI model, Gemini can help you do that. By you just go there and ask it a bunch of questions, right? So with this one, it is actually difficult to kind of talk about, to show you how to use some tools, because it highly depends on what you're actually doing. And then, yeah. So kindly recommend AI and data roadmap. Okay, so AI and data roadmap. So for AI, I would say, I actually don't remember the actual course content I used those days, but what I can recommend is there is these resources I've actually forgotten, but I can say that basically go to YouTube, you set some content, right? And even these days, AI, ChatGPT, you ask it based on your level, you can describe the level you are at currently. And then you tell it that, okay, some roadmap. I can't specifically give you like, do this, do this, do this, do that, right? But on a high level, what I would say is, first and foremost, let me address this by saying that there are a ton of resources online that you can read on, right? Based on your level, you can use ChatGPT to search through them and get the ones that you want to go with, right? For AI, okay. For data, the one that I used was Databricks Data Engineering. That is what I wrote a certification on. The course that I used was kind of was well organized, so I can recommend that Databricks Data Engineering and their course certification, right? It's not like you, once you learn it, it's not by force to write the exam. You can basically learn it for learning sake if you want to do data engineering, right? But if you want to get jobs in data engineering, you probably like writing the exam gives you an edge and passing it. Okay. So I would say finding resources online by searching, using AI to search them would be helpful for AI specifically. And for data engineering, I'm going to say Databricks because that is what I used. But again, you can use AI to find your way out of some of these, right? And before you get into AI machine learning whole thing, one of the recommend prerequisites is like you have to be good at Python, not perfect, but like you have to be good at Python because basically everything is written in Python. And then also linear algebra in terms of matrices, right? I don't know if I may be butchering this, but matrices, right? And yeah, basically linear algebra, right? So you don't have to be like a godfather of mathematics, but this foundations is going to help you a lot, right? In AI. For data engineering, I would say your brain has to rack, right? Because you receive data, like a whole bunch of things can happen, right? So you'd have to think a lot in day to day to solve certain problems. So with that, it's not really that straightforward. I don't know how to really explain or go about that. But yeah, you know. And the other question is with AI writing code and answer questions, what skills will make someone stand out when applying for for internship or jobs in the next 5 years? The two things I would say is mathematics and logic, right? It's as straightforward. Like how you reason about solving a problem is key, and mathematics, right? That's what I'm going to say. Like the first thing is logic and reasoning. Like, because everything you are going to face is you basically trying to solve a problem. So how you think through about solving problems is very key, right? Like because these AI models, as good as they are, sometimes they can act very dumb. Like I'm not going to joke about that. It's not even a joke, right? Sometimes they can act very dumb, and sometimes it can't be that you are also not giving it the right instruction. Okay, but sometimes, right? Even with your best instruction, they do whatever they want to do, and that's not the solution. Right? I've seen them write like I asked them that okay, let's do it this way. They do it, and then you ask them, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you are right, right?" No, but you also let me put it this way. So I usually brainstorm with them, right? Because I don't know everything. Because these guys have like basically the whole knowledge in their head, on the internet in their head, right? So there's probably concepts in programming I don't know. And I've learned so many concepts in programming through using AI, right? So a problem comes, the first thing I actually do is like try to think about it myself. How would I solve it, right? And then I actually brainstorm with the AI and it tells me that okay, your thinking is actually good, but from facts and these sources, the best way to go about it is this approach, right? And then from there, I read whatever resources is suggesting, and then I use it to implement it. Now, you tell it to implement it, and it does it, and it introduces something that was not part of the discussion. And then you ask it why you input it, and it'll be like, oh yeah, you are right, right? So they are always like, okay, you are the best because somewhere in the system from they are telling you that you are a helpful assistant, that kind of thing, right? So it's always going to follow what you tell it. So if you are not actually kind of like don't reason yourself before prompting it, you are basically outsourcing your thinking to it. And those are the things you would need in the next 5 years because in the next 5 years, AI has like they even right now, they've gotten so good to the point that they can finish a whole project in a day for you, right? But what you would have to keep with you is logic, like you being able to reason through solving problems. And then I say mathematics some are of the opinion that AI has gotten so good, so you don't really have to think about code generation anymore. You would have to learn mathematics and physics and logic. Some are like you learn three, but I'm just saying logic and mathematics in the sense that basically everything is math. Like I don't know how to explain it, but everything is math, right? Is kind of math is a language. Okay. Math is a language. It took me, it was after finishing the university that I got to realize that okay, math is actually a language. It's not all about formulas that you have to chew almighty formula in your head. And that is what I thought during my years in the university, putting all kinds of formulas in your mind. That's what I thought math was. But over time, I realized that math is actually a language, like writing computer program. It's a language that people learn. So once you understand math, you would, and also math forces you to think in certain ways, right? Because it's a language, it forces you to think in certain ways, right? Which improves your logic. And then people say physics because there are a whole lot of opinions on the physics part. So I just want to leave that part out. So I'd say your logic and mathematics. Math is not really important. You can go on to learn it. But one key thing is like logic, being able to reason to solve problems, right? And okay, what pe- what personal project would you recommend every high school student build before entering the university if they want to work in AI and ML? Okay, so I don't know if the university currently they look at your CV. For my time entering the university, it was basically your WASI certificate or something like that, right? But if you want to strengthen your knowledge in AI, right, I would say um, doing linear algebra and learning Python, and then starting very simple as learning how to build simple machine learning algorithms like linear regression and those kind of things. Those are the like fundamentals of like AI and machine learning, right? So you can start with building simple as regression models, classification models. Those are like something like the basics of everything. So yeah, you start with those ones and then you can move on to deep learning and you start building up from there. But at the core, the fundamentals are Python and linear algebra, right? Yeah. Okay. So as AI is becoming of rapid use, how do I ensure that I'm still useful in the job market, especially since I'm interested in electrical engineering in the university? So, okay, I'm not really sure how AI is correlated to electrical engineering because I've not done electrical engineering in my entire life, right? I don't really know much about electrical engineering. So I can't really speak much for that. But on a high level, what I would say is to keep yourself useful, just keep the part of you that makes you human, like your logic and reasoning, right? Again, like that is on a high level what I'm going to say. And I wouldn't say you would have to really learn AI to do electrical engineering. I'm not sure how those two are really correlated because I'm not really familiar with electrical engineering. But I would say to keep yourself useful in this age, like being able to reason to solve problems is the very key thing. And the thing with AI currently, let me tell you one thing I learned just recently from one research paper I read, right? AI, as good as they are, they cannot think from unknown data. The only way AI can help you solve a problem is when it has data, enough data to be able to come up with a conclusion, right? Help you reason on it. Without data, AI cannot do anything. Like it cannot give you anything meaningful, right? But the thing with human beings is that even without much data, we are able to deduce and come up with something based on what you have at the moment. Like things like your intuitions and being able to think about, like, think of those days that this guy Newton sat under a tree and said that why did the tree fall? The guy literally didn't have any data. Like he didn't have any data of tree falling and those kind of things. All he had was like sitting down and an apple fell and he caught himself like, oh, okay, yeah, why did the apple fall? That kind of thing, right? That is the thing that AI lacks. And that is what you have as a human being that the AI doesn't have. So that is something you have to keep with yourself all the time. And the way you can improve it is to solve a lot of problems that make you think, like solving complex math problems, computer programming problems, maybe electrical engineering. There are some problems you can solve from that angle. But yeah, that is what I would say from that end. Like, keep the parts that makes you human, your reasoning and your thinking, right? And the last question is, how can I use AI for essays efficiently without the use of anything to beat AI detection tools? Okay. So with this, what I say is these AI tools, what they are doing, as far as I know, right? What they are doing is using AI to detect AI, right? And I've used AI to write essays before, right? And what happened was it detected that, okay, paragraph one, paragraph two is AI generated. Of course, it's AI generated, but it's not like the AI wrote everything for me. I sat down to write them myself and I was like, okay, yeah, just improve my grammar for me, right? But the parts that AI just polished it, an AI, what's the name, detector, which I'm sure Tennyson is used for to detect probably AI generated content, right? They are using AI to detect AI. And on a high level, what AI are trained to do is to predict something, right? So they might end up predicting something different all the time. Maybe, just maybe, they are using some sort of like an algorithm that makes their error rates small, but like at the end, they're all using AI. Okay. So what I would say is write everything yourself. Of course, I would say you can use AI to polish whatever you've written, but just make sure that whatever you've written, like it's your authentic, um, something that came out of from you. It's not like you just put it there for the AI to write everything out for you. It has to be something that came out from you, and you are using AI to correct the grammar and all that, right? So, from my experience, as I was saying earlier, I was using Grammarly actually, and then it said paragraph one is AI generated, paragraph two is AI generated. I say, yeah, fair enough, because I used AI to correct the grammar, right? I fixed it again. I came back. It was complaining of some a different place, which in the first time it didn't complain of before, and I didn't change that. And it was saying that, okay, yeah, paragraph three is problematic. It's AI generated. But in the first round, it didn't detect paragraph three as AI generated, right? So if you, uh, I would bet you to try this, right? Sit down, write every English yourself, give it to an AI, and it will tell you that some part is AI generated, even if you didn't use AI. The thing is that AIs are trained on like language. So they might find some part of language like AI generated or something. You are not always going to get the perfect score of no AI. They are always going to probably detect something that, okay, this part is AI, you have to fix it. That is why they usually use percentage. What is the percentage of AI generated text in your essay and those kind of things? You just have to make sure that it is low. And then even if the AI is detecting it as high, if you are confident that the knowledge and everything you wrote is coming from you, I think you are actually good to go. Yeah. So that's it for the questions. And I'm seeing one question here from ESK. So I'm new to the tech industry. Where do I begin if I want to go into artificial intelligence, which is basically AI? So ESK, what I would say is right now you can use AI to basically learn everything, anything. So what I would recommend for you is if you already have some knowledge in Python, is good for you. But if you are not really familiar with Python, the first thing I would recommend is learning how to write code in Python, right? Once you get your foundations right, you learn the basics and you understand how to create functions, loops, those kind of things. You learn about object-oriented programming. Okay, you're learning Python. You learn object-oriented programming, which is going to come very handy going forward, right? And you also learn, I would say, learning matrices, linear algebra, right? I think on YouTube, you can't even find linear algebra for AI. You don't have to learn everything in linear algebra. Like, I think some few concepts that you need to understand, which are going to be helpful, right? Again, you don't really need to learn the math, but I can say that now that AI has gotten so good, what is going to help you is your understanding and how you can reason about problems. And before you can think about a problem too deep, it has to be the point where you understand the fundamentals really well, right? So recently, there is this guy I'm working with, and he's an NSS person, right? And he was complaining of the fact that at the workplace, we asked them to get work done very fast. So like they asked him to get something done, like they asked him that, oh, okay, Fifi, bring this feature up, like this feature, we want it done by the end of day, right? And this guy is a fresh graduate who is now learning this whole AI thing. And then you tell him to train a machine learning model by the end of today, right? He finds it very difficult, but he has to end up using AI to get the job done. And he now doesn't understand whatever that is going on, right? So the advantage you guys have, like now coming into the AI, is like when you start work, you are expected to produce results at very high rates. They don't really care about how you got it done. All they care about is like, okay, the work is done, right? And when it's time for you to give updates or ask you to explain the feature, you have to explain it to the point where they know that, okay, you wrote everything to the core, right? So this time, what is going to help you very well is make sure you understand the fundamentals very well. And when AI generates something for yourself, you'll be able to detect that what this guy is generating is garbage. Probably tell it that, hey, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, right? Something happened, something happened, right? So in data engineering, what happens is that we usually generate huge, like sensor data that comes are like very huge, right? We are looking at like probably 100 gigabytes of data, right? And you have to store them in some data structure and put them in a variable, right? One of the dangerous things to do is say that you copy the data frame, which is 100 GB instead of another variable. Already, your computer RAM is handling 100 gigabytes of data already. And you want to copy that data into the same RAM, which is already suffering with the 100 GB. That means you're having 200 GB on a 100 GB probably RAM, right? And I found AI doing these things a lot, which is not memory efficient. Like it's not very efficient, and you end up increasing your cloud cost, right? And cloud compute is so crazy expensive to the point that you just blink your eyes and they send you an email that you've used 20K USD. Okay. So using AI in those areas is like you have to be very cautious and you have to know what you are asking it to do, right? So if not, they are going to mess you up. Like they are going to mess you up really bad. So understanding the fundamentals really well, like don't rush yourself to be like, hey, I want to get this thing done. If you are learning from scratch, you get the fundamentals using AI to help you solve problems. It's going to be easy. So for us, the good thing, we were just discussing the fact that for us in our days, when we started AI coming, we were doing a lot of things by ourselves. Those days, AI was just terrible. Like they were not good, okay, as how they are good today. So what is helping us that has already been in the field so far is the fact that we already have the fundamentals and we did much of manual way. Like imagine you have to code a whole Java project from scratch using Stack Overflow, going those days and finding your ways out and those kind of things. We had that experience, but those coming today, the rate at which they are expected to get results done is like crazy, right? Something comes up today and they expect you to finish in the next hour, and it's not something you can finish so fast, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question well enough, ESK. Well, let's see. Is there any other questions from anyone? Mm. Does anyone have any other question? Oh, that's it. So stop sharing. All right. So if there are no other questions, I'd like to share these few things, and then I think we'll end the session. And yeah, so the few things I would like to share is let me share my screen again. I think this is a bonus, something I just want to share with everyone, and just going to be quick as possible, and then we close the session. So yeah. Oh, I hope I'm sharing the right thing. So share this video. Yeah, let's share this. Let me know once you can see my screen. All right. So what I want to share is something simple, right? And this is something I actually believe in based on what I've researched so far, right? So I was saying earlier the fact that in the next couple of years, right? I'm just saying this to let everyone know about this, and maybe you might consider learning some things. Like, how do I put this? Some sort of like a warning or alarm, or however you want to call it, right? Just to let you guys know that eventually AI is going to be something that is like everyone knows, right? But how are you going to get yourself useful when AI becomes normal, like to everyone? Okay. So from what I've learned so far, right, there is a shift going on from like these days we have AI that answers questions, right? We have AI to answer questions. Like you go to ChatGPT, ask it a question, and it generates a bunch of information for you, right? That is where ChatGPT started back in the university when we heard about ChatGPT. Now you can have AI access even your Google Drive, your emails. I've I don't know if anybody has realized it. These days, a bunch of emails are like AI generated. You apply for a job and you see you receive an email, and then you read it and you're like, yeah. I don't I don't know if you would notice, but for me, when I see AI generated content, I know that this is from AI. Okay. AI has access to your email, the point where AI can control your whole computer, something we call computer use, right? It can basically tell ChatGPT, right, to control your computer and get some things done for you, a whole bunch of things, right? So we have ChatGPT which was already there, and we now find ways and means to make ChatGPT do other things that it was not able to do earlier. I don't know if you recall, back in the days, you can ask ChatGPT a question and it will tell you that it doesn't know it. Its cutoff knowledge is at 2020 something, right? These days, ask ChatGPT question like, what is happening now? And it will be able to tell you that this is what is happening. The reason is it's being given access to tools and softwares that is helps it to access real-time information, right? And that is what we currently are. Now, things are slowly moving to the point where Gemini, let me actually share this video. Let me see. Yeah. Share this video I'm having here to show you something. So even Gemini, they themselves that started this whole AI things are now building this what physical AI. So Gemini robotics. Oh wait, I'm not sure if you can hear. Let me stop sharing and then share again with the voice, just so you get what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen? And also let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear the sound?
How are you today, Apollo?
I'm a little nervous. Is that a microphone?
All right. So if you would pay attention, you realize that a question was asked and it was able to answer it. Now, this is Gemini speaking inside of it, right? You asked it a question and was able to answer. Now, this time it's able to speak. And then you realize what it's able to do. Now, pick whatever tip and put it inside of a radio and interact with the real world.
For the robot, dealing with challenges of the actual physical world is borderline impossible.
Right.
But for us humans,
So, the thing is that they themselves, this Google, Gemini, all these guys, they themselves know that eventually, yeah, AI is there. Eventually, it's going to be like, how do we make this AI thing that we are doing that right now is sitting in your computer be able to interact with the real world, right? And that is what physical AI is all about. We already have robots. If you look at the robot that we had 10 years ago, they were not able to speak. All they were able to do is that, hey, you pick this thing up, probably like, let's say, a robot in the warehouse. It picks up something, and then it's programmed to like follow certain routes. You go 5 feet, you use 90 degrees, move here. That's what they were trained to do. But these days, we've built AIs like physical AI robots that perceive the world and is able to interact with the real world. That is where things are getting into, right? So what I just want to share with you is that in as much as you are learning your AI right now, an interesting thing would be for you that can make yourself useful in the next probably 5 to 10 years is when this AI bubble, I'm not saying AI bubble will best, right? AI becomes normal for everyone. What then makes you useful, right? And I would say you having knowledge of how some of these things work can give you an edge for you to kind of now go and make money in those places as well. Right now, these guys are not making money, but I can tell you that mark my words, in the next 5 to 10 years, you would see the amounts of money these guys will be charging for one robot. And mind you, once they build one robot, they are not coming to charge you 5K USD. You are looking at like something very expensive, right? So the key thing is we are currently at this point, and we are slowly moving to this place, right? And what I want to share with you right now is while we are here, you learn as much as you want to learn, but keep in mind that in the days coming, we are going to move here. And that is what ITL is currently teaching, right? robotics and those kind of things. And you, in order for you to be able to do the things that these guys are
Humans,
like
it comes
currently
so
doing,
naturally and so
your basics
intuitively
for
that we almost don't even think of it as
your basics
intelligence.
for robotics has to be there, right? And the thing is that
You probably have seen all
physical
these.
AI contains a whole lot of things. Like there is software engineering. I think let me go back just so that you see
It
this
comes
guy.
so
So you realize that he's a principal software engineer. So physical AI includes software engineer, AI engineering, data engineering, a whole bunch of things. Like a whole bunch of things goes into it. So if you're able to position yourself well enough in the world of physical AI, you might be someone who is a software engineer who programs robots, right? You might be a robot like Meta, what's the name? The metal semiconductors, those kind of things. Like basically anything. So what I'm sharing with you is like you positioning yourself in a way that you can be relevant now and make yourself useful in the years that is coming, right? So in as much as you're learning AI now, you can position yourself in a place where when these AI things go down, you may have the skills that can make you survive at least for a few couple of years, because eventually these guys, physical AI comes around. I mean, that's how the world is moving these days. Physical AI comes around probably for the next 5 to 20 years, and something else is going to come up, which I don't know, right? So I'm just sharing this so that while you are doing your daily activities or learning whatever you want to learn, you keep in mind that eventually, while AI is useful right now, things are going to change, and you also have to be, you also have to adapt as well. So basically, that's what I want to share. I don't want to go much. And one last thing I want to share is from just recently, NVIDIA. I don't know if you know about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, they are the company that is currently powering, except for the Chinese models, by the way. So ChatGPT, Claude, all the models that you are using, they are running on NVIDIA, like NVIDIA graphics card, right? And then if you go to NVIDIA right now, even, I mean, this one was even organized just a few days ago, right? You can see that they are actively also kind of engaging themselves in this whole physical AI thing, which I just showing this to you to let you know that this thing is eventually going to be a thing that if you position yourself well, you can be the pioneers of this field and you make your money. By the time it goes out, you've already cashed out already. You get it? So I'm just sharing this with you. I'm personally positioning myself well because I know that the way AI is going, yeah, it's crazy, right? Building softwares like within the span of a week, that would back in the days take like a team of probably 2 years to build. So this all I want to share, and thank you for joining this session. I hope if you have any other questions you want to ask, you can ask right now. If not, I think I'll hand it over to David. Then we close the session for today. All right. All right, David.
Yes, so Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, so that's it. I don't know if anyone has any question. If not, that'll be it.
Does anyone have any question from Mr. Solomon? I mean, it could be anything relating to AI, not specifically what you spoke about just today. It could be anything, any question that's been on your mind you wanting to ask a professional or something. This is your chance to do so.
Okay, if the strongest Avenger now.
Okay, is it Delix? Please, you can unmute and talk.
Okay, thank you very much. So please, I wanted to ask what African problem is AI well positioned to solve that we are ignoring? Please, I don't know if you got my question.
Yeah,
Please did it. Okay, thank you.
yeah. So the one thing I think uh is this AI language something. So having an African AI, like an AI that can speak the African languages that we speak, like Fancy, Chi, Dagbani, those kind of things, right? If you go and ask ChatGPT right now to speak Chi, it will be chaotic. But think there are models that can speak like Spanish, speak Hindi, speak all other kind of languages, but they are very terrible at speaking the Ghanaian language and most of African languages. The reason is because of data. And as I was saying earlier, AI is give it data and then it gives you an output. So the reason why, if you are able to, like perchance, if you are able to find a way to generate like data for African language and able to train a model, or at least find a way to fine-tune one of these models that are, and is very good at these local languages. Even here in Ghana, I've had the chance to speak with like companies that are like their solution is towards like these market people and some people that don't really know English and know the Chi very well. And they are unable to assist them very well with their platform because the AI we have today are not really good. Of course, we have the Ghana NLP, Ghana whatever, these languages. I've tried them before and then they are doing a good job. I understand them because there's no much data for them to kind of train these models. Like how we have English dictionary and a whole bunch of things that these white people are used to training are using to train the AI model that are good in English, right? So one of the huge gap, right, and a huge market value right now in Africa will be AI models that are actually good at speaking the local languages or African language. Imagine if you can pull that off, you can't even have CRM systems speak people in your local language. Like there is this hospital in Ghana that speaks to like they have CRM systems, right? That they would have to like make human beings call patients that hey, you came to the hospital today, how are you feeling? Or even remind people of their medical appointment, right? And sometimes they are human beings, they can miss this bunch of things, right? But if you have an AI system that you set it up, that hey, you call this person around this time, it won't miss it. And then not everybody can speak English. These are old mothers, they come to the hospital, they are speaking local language, right? That's why we need human beings to do that. But if you have an AI and the AI is able to speak Chi to a local person, imagine the number of hospitals that are going to come to you for that, even just for Ghana alone. And I know people, and I've worked with people that are currently working on that. I think about a year ago, when I was at Mino Hut, I was working with a friend on Dagbani data. And it didn't go so well because we didn't have much data. So much of our issue right now is having data to train these models. If you go to, I can show you, I'm coming. Let me show this really quick. There is this tool called 11 Labs, right? This AI can speak British accent to the point that when he's speaking, you wouldn't even notice if it's whoever is speaking is even British or an AI speaking, right? The thing is that they've trained their AI to be so good at their language to the point that they even know the accents very well. But the issue with Africans is that when you go on their API, you cannot even find the only African you can find is African language you can find that the AI can speak is what's the name? Is it Hausa? I think it's Hausa. That's the only thing. Even Hausa self is something else, right? That's the only African language the AI can speak. Apart from that, even Hausa self is not really that good. It's like here and there, right? So if you're able to get an AI system, train a model that's good at, you are going to probably, I'm sure every African country is going to come to you for you to automate some things. Like right now at the bank, if you call their CRM number, you'd have to have someone you would get somebody to pick it up to speak to you, right? But it shouldn't really be the case. Of course, like human beings has to be there. But imagine you can have an AI, somebody calls, it's not everybody who can speak English. Somebody calls and wants to speak their actual language, and the AI will be able to speak their language for them. it's something that people are willing to have, and then people are actually working on doing that. And then the people I'm actually not working with them in close contact. It's just one or two things. Like once a while I speak to them. Google funded them to gather I think Chi, was it Chi? One of the local Ghanaian languages, right? They just funded them to gather data for that. And they even created a whole website where when you go to the website, you try to input some data, they gathered, I think they pay you some small amount for gathering those data. Even Google themselves are funding people in Ghana to produce that data for them because they know the value that this thing will bring for them. So if one way or the other you're able to pull this off, I'm probably sure you're going to be a billionaire. Yeah, you're going to be a billionaire because it's something that people are actually investing on to do, right? So, yeah. Is there any other question?
Thank you.
Please, anyone have another question?
Let me add it to the argument.
Anyone with any other question? Okay, all right. So please, if anyone has any other question, Mr. Solomon Eshun, thank you very much for your time today, and really learned a lot. Thank you very much for the insight. Yeah, and I mean, if you've not learned anything today, we know that the age of AI is changing, and then we should learn to adapt and also, keep up with it. Yeah, and please, I would send the link to join the Innova Tech Lab. We have a general Hangouts page or a page where you can join for more info. So I'm sending the link to the chat so that we can all join our social media handles as well. So I'll send a link tree to the chat and we can then all join from there. Okay, so I'm sending this right now. Yes, please, if you can see it, then give me a thumbs up so I know that you can all see it. I've sent it right now. And yeah, I'll send the WhatsApp page too. Yes, please. Yes. So there from there goes other sessions like this. So you can join to have more insightful sessions like this one. So when meet other professionals like Mr. Eshun himself. Yeah. And Mr. Eshun, if you can drop your handle so that people can also reach out to you to have any questions or something. Mr. Eshun.
All right, let me share my LinkedIn. So when you go to LinkedIn, you can search my full name. You'll find me there. But here's a link.
All right, so thank you very much. Yeah, and please do all to interact with his page, follow him, and then you can text him and ask him questions on anything you want to know. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining the session today. It was nice having you all. Good evening.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.